8:30 now, so we're hoping to get started. I think there'll be a few more people joining us once they've finished drop-off. But welcome to our workshop this week on Accelerated Reader. My name is Lauren Dowse. I'm the Year 4M class teacher, and I've also got responsibility for English within the school. So my new job title is Head of Subject Team for English. With me today is Mrs. Annabelle McWilliam. And Annabelle is my subject coach, so she is my inspiration, and together we try to get to classrooms, we help teachers with planning, we can support them relating back to the British National Curriculum, the framework, what we can do for the children. So we are the English team, as well as Miss Stephanie Weller, who's in Year 6, who has more responsibility for the drama, speaking and listening side of things. So thank you very much for coming. This workshop is very similar to the one last year about Accelerated Reader. So if you've been through it before, then don't feel that you have to stay, or if you've got further questions, then just let us go. When we will go through the presentation, there will be opportunities for asking questions a little bit later on. I think hopefully the presentation should give you most of the answers. So moving further on, just to remind you of our mission and our vision and what we really believe at Alice Smith. You know, we believe that we are providing your children an outstanding British education for a successful international future. That's the main point of us being here. And to lead the pursuit of excellence in learning through nurturing, inspiring and enriching the lives and characters of young people. So that's from Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 2 and well into the EP campus as well. So what all teachers at Alice Smith do truly believe is that through the generosity of our time, through things like parent workshops, toddler groups, parent-teacher conferences, actually we're here to make sure that your children know that they are cared for and that we give them the attention that they need. And we want to find out the best way to bring out the best attributes of your child in whatever medium. And through this, we should be able to create an enduring sense of belonging to something that is very special. And the 70th anniversary is another huge point that we've been going for 70 years, and we're still going strong. So by the end of this workshop today, we're hoping that you'll go away understanding a little bit more about what Accelerated Reader is. At the moment, your children might say, oh, I've got a quiz to do, or I'm reading an Accelerated Reader book, or a Just Right Reader, and it might be like jargon to you at the moment. You might not have a clue what they're talking about. So hopefully by the end of the workshop, you'll have a much better understanding. We also hope that you'll know how to support your child more in their use of Accelerated Reader. And if there's any questions relating specifically to your children, if you wait to the end, then Annabelle and I will be here, and we can help you with that.
Okay, so first of all, let's start with what is Accelerated Reader. It is an online computer program which your child can access easily from home and also from the school and in the library as well. And it helps us manage and monitor your child's independent reading practice. So what happens is your child will pick a book that is right for them, that we guide them towards choosing, and they read it at their own pace. They can read it independently, or they can share the reading with you, depending on what works for both of you. And when your child has finished reading the book, they take a short quiz on the computer, and the quiz is kind of focusing on their comprehension of and their understanding of the text that they have just read. So why do we use Accelerated Reader? Well, this is probably the third year we've been doing it in Alice, is that right, Lauren? Yeah. It's the third year, yeah, we've been doing it here now. And we found that it really does help your child with their motivation to read. Our fundamental aim is to get your child to really, really engage and enjoy their reading, rather than it being a chore, something that they have to do. We want it to be something that they actually really want to do. So it gives your children instant feedback on their comprehension skills, their understanding of what they've read in the quiz. And the quiz itself is quite a large part of the motivation of your children to read. So when your child has completed the quiz after each book they read, we get feedback based on how well they've done. It might be like a percentage score, and the questions that they can answer and the questions that they found more tricky. And through that feedback, we can then direct their ongoing reading practice. We might say something like, well, try a book at this level, or let's carry on with that level, or why don't you choose a non-fiction book next time, or what about this author, that kind of thing. The types of books that the children are choosing is really useful for us as teachers, because sometimes your child might get really locked into non-fiction books about snakes or something, which is lovely, but we might want to broaden that to maybe think about some fiction choices as well. So why do we use accelerated reader? It's really useful to get feedback from the children, actually. So Mira, who's currently in year 6, says it's good because you can see if you read and understand the book. Then you can decide whether to pick a harder or an easier one next time. So as the children move up through the school, through year 4, through year 5, then they become more independent with their reading choices, and they can make that judgment as to which book is right for them. So Hannah in year 4, it's fun to do the quiz because it gives the multiple choices. The quizzes are very child-friendly. They're not at all threatening or tricky for the children. It's very user-friendly with the multiple choices. And Harry, year 5, just the fact that he gets to do this quiz on the computer is a really nice thing for him. So what the teachers say, because there's a lot of teachers across the year groups that we use accelerated reader for. So Mrs. Jones, year 4 leader at the moment, says I can use it to set challenges such as reading 1 million words. So last year, when I was in year 3, we had a whole class target for the number of words that the children would read, and I was quite ambitious with my target. I said at the end of the year, 3 million words as a whole class. Now obviously, some children are going to be reading a lot more words than other children, depending on their ability. But I think we just about made it, and it was that sense of pulling together as a class rather than individuals that really worked for us. Mr. Ebsworth used to be year 5, he's now in year 3. It helps me see if the children are reading a range of fiction and non-fiction. I can then help guide their library choices, which was a point I was referring to earlier.
Okay, so how we use accelerated reader within the classroom. We start by every half term asking your children to take part in a star reader assessment. And each of the children will be sat on a computer, and the teachers and teaching assistants will be walking around, and they're given a sentence. And there'll be a missing word in the sentence, and the children will have 3 choices underneath to choose the word that fits in with the sentence. And there are a few questions on that. Now, based on the children's responses, that will then direct whether they go to questions of a similar nature, whether they go to slightly harder questions, and it picks up on your child's answers. So the children will all have different questions based on their answers, which is wonderful with the programme because it really suits the individual, what we try to cater for at Alice Smith. As it gets harder, the children are given passages to read, about 3 sentences, and from that they're given a range of multiple choice answers. Some of the passages, as they get harder, contain more technical vocabulary, such as scientific vocabulary. And once the children have finished this assessment, the teachers get a summary, and in that summary it gives us their standardised score. So we're looking between 90 to 110 is a fantastic range to be in because it's where they should be, but it also guides us to those children who maybe are not quite in the average range yet, who need a bit more support, and it helps guide their book choices. It helps us know what books the children should be reading for their level. So from here, the children choose the book, and we call that a just right reader book because it's at their just right level. So your child might come and say, oh, this is my just right reader, so it's right for their ability. The children can be independently selected by the children. We've got the carousels, and the class teacher spends time showing the children how to turn to the back of the book and to look at the level that the book is. So they're able to have more freedom in choosing the books on the carousel that are right for them. We try to encourage that the Just Right Reader books are commented on in the diary. You'll see that this year there are 5 spaces for writing book comments. We do not want that to prohibit the children. Some children in my class this year are drawing a picture of the character and are writing 5 words to describe that character. That shows me that they understand who they are. Some children are using a box a week to put in tricky words or new words that they've learnt so that we can discuss it, use it, how can they put it into their writing. Some children are making predictions about what they think will happen next in their book. Some children are giving me a summary. I think this book was great because it made me laugh, or I think this book was a bit easy for me this time. I'm going to challenge myself next time. So those book comments give us a good idea of how they've enjoyed the book at that level. If we see that they're saying it's easy, and the quiz results are not saying that the child found it easy, that's something we can then address. Once they've finished the quiz and they've finished the book, they can then complete the quiz. So the children are welcome to have that book in front of them. In most reading assessments in the UK and the start of EP, they're given a text, and then they're there to analyse the text with it in front of them. It's only further up the school, once they get to GCSE and A-level, that for English literature, they're reading a book, they have to analyse it, and they're not always to take as many notes in as possible. But we're preparing them. So as a teacher, I wouldn't want to comment on something without it in front of me. That's absolutely fine for the children as well, to have the books in front of them. So here you can see one of the children. They've read the same book all week, but they've told me different things about it. And that's absolutely fine, because you've got children who are reading quite long books. So here's a picture of our carousels. They're located as you walk in the Key Stage 2 library to the left. And each of them are very clearly labelled at the top, the different book levels. We do have lots of books in the library that have accelerated reader quizzes, and some of them are on the shelves as well. So we've been teaching the children to recognise them by looking for the different coloured stickers. So if children are reading green books, they're looking for the books on the shelf that have the green stickers. So they can choose from their favourite author, they can choose from a genre they might be interested in. If they're really loving a series, then a lot of the books in the series are also belonging to the accelerated reader system. So we'll make sure we put this presentation up on the parent portal as well, so that you can access it at any time. Now, some of your children might have started coming home with bookmarks that look similar to this. This is where, as a teacher, we would write down the book levels that your children are reading, and it's usually a range. So it wouldn't just be your child can only read 2.1 books. It would normally be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, more or less. Some children then decide to tally how many of those books that they've read. It's up to them. So some children will use the right-hand column to tally the number of books at each level they've read. Some children will just keep it as a reference, so that they can start to work their way through. And hopefully throughout the year you'll notice that the lower numbers get crossed off and the child is challenged with harder books. So that's what this bookmark is. A few class teachers in Year 3 also keep them on their desk as well, so that they can help children in the library while they're still getting to know the system. By Year 4 and 5, these bookmarks are given to your child to keep in their diary. So here's an example of one of the books, The Worst Witch, and the child would turn to the back of the book, and in it would give the quiz number, it would give the title of the book and the author, and then it's got the point that it's worth. So this book is worth 1 point, and it's book level 5.4. So if a child is reading 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, they'll probably be directed to choose a book at this level. But now I'm going to hand over to Mrs. McWilliam to tell you a little bit more about what these points actually mean.
Okay, and just to reiterate what Lauren was saying about the range of points, I think it's important that a child can choose any book from that range, and it doesn't have to be sequential. So say, for example, your child is 2.7 to 3.3, they don't have to start at 2.7 and then do 2.8 and then do 2.9. They can choose any book within that range, because we don't want to make it too restricted for them, because they might like a book that's at 3.3 and they haven't read a 2.8 book, and that's absolutely fine. We don't want to make it too restricted for them. Okay, so a little bit more about the points. Every book has an accelerated reader reading practice quiz, as we've just been hearing about, and that quiz has a point value. Now, It's important not to get confused between the quiz point value and the accelerated book reader level. Your child just needs to think about the book level when they're choosing their book, okay? So the points are based on the difficulty of the book and the length of the book. So when they do the quiz, they will get a certain number of points, and those points will go in towards their target, which I'll talk about in a minute. So here's some examples of 3 books which have different points value. And you can see, moving from the left through to the right, the points will increase. So this book is for more early readers, and Baby makes 5. That's half a point, 0.5, and it has a total of 944 words. Moving through, if your child was to choose a book like Hank the Cowdog, that has over 23,000 words in it, and obviously the words would be more technically difficult than the easier reader. So that's reflected in the fact that it's 3 points when they do the quiz for that. Moving right through to Ernest Hemingway, we've got some gifted and talented readers, they might choose a book like this. Very long book, 67,000 words. So obviously that's going to be reflected in the points level. That book will be 10 points. Now, obviously to go back to the comments in the child's reading diary each week, we are not expecting every child to choose a new Just Right reader every week, because that just won't make sense. If your child is reading a book around 5 points or 4 points, they're not going to be reading that in a whole week. That's too much. But if your child is maybe at the 0.5 point book levels, they're easily going to get through at least one of those every week. So it's important not to get hung up on a new Just Right reader every week. It's really at your child's pace. That's the most important thing. Okay, so why do we collect points on these quizzes? So the children are trying to achieve a target number, and this is all part of the motivation towards encouraging them to read. So the more points they collect, the closer they will be to achieving their target. And it's really nice in year 3, I'll show you a slide in a minute, the children have a flower which they have to build up towards, and over a few weeks or so they'll have reached that flower and they're so excited and say, Mr. William, I've reached my flower, so we celebrate that in class, and then the target is reset for them. So on the left, this is for children in year 3. The target is, as you can see there, a flower. Now this child, their target was 15.3 points from the books that they've read. When they achieve that number of points, the flower is filled. And coincidentally in year 3, we are doing our UPO about plants and planting, so that ties in quite nicely, but it doesn't always. The one on the right is for year 4 and year 5. So we move away from the flower, but you can see there's like a bar chart, a sliding scale for the children to fill that bar, and then they reach their target. Okay, just hand over to Lauren.
Okay, so you often want to know how your children are being assessed here at Alice Smith. How do we know what your children can do? How do we know where to move them on to their next steps? And assessment is really important here. We actually have dedicated a whole parent workshop to it in the next couple of weeks. That's on Thursday, the 10th of November. But just with relation to accelerated reader, it's not the only way we assess your child's reading. We buy into this subscription because we feel that a lot of children, not all of them, are motivated to do the quizzes. And it gives them an opportunity to show that actually reading is about understanding. Even us as adults, we read to understand. We read a recipe to understand how to cook something. We read a set of instructions to understand how to make or do something. We might read a book to understand a different concept or to enjoy it, and that's what we're trying to put into the children, instill that attitude within them. So teachers assess reading in a variety of ways. Yes, they look at the accelerated reader to see how your children are doing in their quizzes, but teachers hear children read individually. Teachers are able to ask children questions through whole class teaching about what's been on the board. A lot of teachers do guided reading, where they can sit with groups of children and discuss different types of questions. Through story writing, we can even assess your child's reading. Have they been exposed to different ideas? Are they trying to use adventurous vocabulary that they've heard in a story that they've read? So there are lots of different varieties, and this is not our only assessment tools, it is just one of them. So other tools that we have now this year, which are going to be shared with you before the December holidays, are our Alice Smith Skills Ladders. And these have been created alongside with the work going on in the UK to show at each different step what your children should be doing. And they're going to be shared with you, I believe, at the parent workshop in November. So you'll have a much better breakdown of the skills that we cover. How to get to accelerated reader. This is one area we would really like your support in. To get to accelerated reader, we are trying to encourage children to use the class library page. So in our library sessions, we are modelling to the children how to get to the class library page, which if you typed into Google, class library, it would come up. And once you're on the class library page, there is a tab at the top. So you can see we've arrowed it just there. And that's how children can get to it. It's not the only way. A lot of the class teachers are also sending an email which has a link to Accelerated Reader. So if your child is on their email at home, they can click the link. Once your children do have the page, if they use an iPad or a laptop, maybe you could help them bookmark the page. Sometimes children come in and say, oh, I couldn't get onto Accelerated Reader, but what they've done is they've gone through Google and they've typed in Accelerated Reader. This won't work. Because we have a subscription, we have a special code which is in the link, and that's why they can't just access it through going to Google, because it doesn't have our school code. We've also got the Gateway page as well, and teachers are trying to link on there as well. That's our new, instead of Frog, those of you who've been at the school for a while, we used to use Frog. We're moving very much more towards Google Sites, and we're having Gateway pages that will be up and running by December for the children to regularly access. So lots of ways for your children to get the quizzes. Here's the fun bit. This is what it looks like for your children. So they will log on to Accelerated Reader, and they will come up with a screen that looks like this. And the first thing that the children have to do is to find their book that they've been reading. Now they can do this either by putting in the title, they might want to search the author, or they can use the quiz number that is in the back of the book. This will then take them to their book choice. So here, the Basketball Buddies has been searched for, and they can see it's come up. Sometimes there's a different front cover. This changes depending on publication date. So sometimes we've got the older copies of the books, the newer copies. So we try to encourage the children, is it the right title? Is it the right author? Is it about your point level? Yes. So once the children have found their book, they then click on Take the Quiz. Now the quiz asks them, how did you read the book? Whether they were read to, whether they read it with someone else, or whether they read by themselves. Any of these are okay. You need to decide as a family what is right for you. If your child, if in your schedule at home there is time for your children to read by themselves, that's great. If that week you've got lots of family visiting and you're doing some shared reading in the car, then you would have shared the book together. It might be that your child is ready to read the Harry Potter books, but it's quite difficult for them, so that's one that you're reading to them. So they're still being exposed to that vocabulary, the storylines, but it's one that you've read to them. The child should still be able to have an understanding of what's going on in that book, so they're welcome to do a quiz. So it is okay, this is a question we get frequently asked, if a child is reading 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, but as a family, you're maybe sitting with siblings and you're reading one of the Harry Potter books that is 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, they are welcome to do the quiz on that book. It's wonderful that as a family you're taking that time to expose them to higher order vocabulary and stories. So the quiz. Some of the quizzes, when the children are early readers, are only 5 questions. As the children read slightly longer books, they can have 10 questions. Both of them give a percentage of the answers. So the children will be given a question and they'll be given multiple choice answers. From here they can select the one that they believe is correct. So we're not asking them to use their typing skills at this moment, we're just asking on their reading skills. Once they finish the quiz, they've got the opportunity to rate it. This is a really good thing for us as teachers to look at. So if a child doesn't do very well in a quiz, and they've only given it 1 star, it might be the complete wrong genre for them. We can see that they're not interested in it, they're not inspired by it, so we need to direct them. If a children is constantly rating books of 4 star, and they're doing really well in them, we've found something that they're interested in, and we can help find additional books to supplement that. And the children, this is the instant feedback that the children will get. It will tell them how much percentage they got correct, and we're hoping that children will get 85% or more. 85% or more shows us that that book was the right book for your child. It was at their reading level, it was one that they could access. And then it will tell them how many points they've earned. So this child, unfortunately, didn't get 85%, so they didn't achieve the points towards their target. So this would be a meeting that I would have with the child to say, right, let's have a look, what happened, should we read it together? They might say, actually, I only read the first page and I still wanted to do the quiz. So then as a teacher, I know, well, it probably wasn't that they didn't understand it, they just didn't read the book and they've done the quiz, which sometimes does happen. So that's why we're here to investigate. And again, once they've done that, they'll then see how their target is progressing. So remember, the flower is for children in year 3, and the bar chart is for children in year 4 and year 5, and those children who are invited to use Accelerated Reader in year 6. Now, I was going to pass this on to Mrs. McWilliam, but over this week, over the last 2 days, after a foreseeable delay in conversation, we have got a slight problem. The UK have contacted me to say that they have now gone very separate to their USA counterparts. So previously we've purchased Accelerated Reader and we've been able to access the USA quizzes, the Australian quizzes and the British quizzes. They have as a company started to move away from each other and we are no longer able to access the USA quizzes. I'm currently investigating if we can buy a separate subscription to USA but have the same login details for the children. Would it mean a new site? Should we remove those books from the library? Should we change the setting? That's something I am now currently working on. So the class teachers are trying to support your children to choose if they are motivated by the quizzes and they want to do a book with a quiz. We are helping guide them to the Australian and the UK books. If your children is not motivated by the quizzes, they can choose any USA books that they want because they're not being quizzed on them. And we value the USA books in our library. We are an international school. It's important that your children read from a variety of authors. So I'm very sorry about that at the moment, and I am working on it as we speak.
Okay, so with Accelerated Reader, I think it's useful just to go through what we would like the children to do in terms of their responsibilities. So firstly, actually make some time to complete the quiz. Now this can be in the class library session. All classes have at least one 20-minute slot a week in the library with their class. Some have 2 sessions, so they can go on the computers in the library and do their quiz. They can do it at home, as long as just describe how to get there. They also need to select a new Just Right Reader whenever they have completed that quiz. So it's not just in the library slot. If they've completed their quiz on a Wednesday and it's not library session till Friday, then they need to go into the library. It's open from 7:30 in the morning every morning before register at 7:45. It's also open at morning break. They can go at break time. And it's also open after school. It's not open at lunchtimes, however. Okay. So as a parent, the responsibilities for the parents is really to encourage your child to read at home and take an interest in your child's reading and talk to them about their reading. So year 3, year 4 and year 5, we're moving away from decoding the words to actually building up your child's comprehension skills. And one of the best ways to do that is to actually sit down and talk through what's happened in the book. Have they enjoyed it? Did they learn any new vocabulary? What do they think might happen next? I still try to do that with my children when they're at EP, because reading is for enjoyment and engagement, and it's not just about being able to sound out every word, because then it becomes a chore. So that's what we're trying to foster. Do encourage your child to make a comment in their diary about their Just Right Reader book. Now sometimes a child might get a little bit worried because 2 of their comments are about their Just Right Reader, but 1 comment is about another book that they've read, or a magazine that they've read, or a newspaper that they've read. And that's absolutely fine. We're not going to be saying, oh, you haven't got 3 comments about your Just Right Reader, that's terrible. It's not, it's just a guide. And use the Home Connect to praise your child when they have completed a quiz. And for year 3, and I think year 4 as well, we're sending out the Home Connect letters very soon, which will give you your login details so that you can access your child's accelerated reader and you can see how well they're doing on their quizzes. So this is what Home Connect looks like. You can see how your child's getting on, you can view their progress. You can use the Accelerated Reader book finder with your child to search for titles of interest for them, as well as at school. It's really great as parents if you can say, well, you really enjoyed this book, how about this one? Or maybe this wasn't quite so good for you, why don't we have a look at what else might be better? So the letter home, as I said, will be going out soon. Okay, so that's kind of the end of Accelerated Reader and how it works. We're just going to go through some frequently asked questions that have come up at Alice Smith in the past, and are also on the Accelerated Reader website. So, Laura, would you like to start?
Yeah, there are some of you here who I know have more than 1 child using Accelerated Reader, and that's not a problem. The information in the report is only for the child that you choose to view. So if you have a child who is very motivated by reading, you'll know that they're regularly doing quizzes, you don't have to access their Home Connect information every day, every week. But you might have a child who is not motivated to read at the moment, or who finds it a little bit more tricky, who might need a bit of help and support, and they might be the child that you choose to focus on to see the information. But you're welcome to look at both, we've got those details. Also, we are going to have another workshop about reading comprehension in general and strategies, but these are just some things that we thought that you might want to think about. It definitely improves with practice. The more your children read, the better at it they will get, whether it's on their own, whether it's with you, whether it's as a family, whether it's reading on the computer. We're very fortunate to have another workshop in about 3 weeks' time with Miss Kirsten Gallagher from the library, where we've purchased a number of programs where children can be read to on the computer. They can virtually turn the pages and the book will read to them, so they can engage in a variety of different ways. Bookshops, we've got lots of bookshops here in Malaysia. If you've got a family friend visiting, they might bring a book with them as a treat, a present, a gift, a reward, something that can be cherished, that's got their name in it. When we have the visiting authors, it's sometimes really lovely to purchase one of those books and have a real life author sign it. That can inspire children to read the books. But no matter what your children's age, it is really important. In primary, it helps them access all other areas of the curriculum. So I took a year 4 trip to the planetarium yesterday, and compared to when they went in year 1, we could read a lot of the information, we could engage with it, we could ask questions, we could use some of the information. They didn't have that skill in year 1. So it's completely building upon. And there's lots of fantastic places in Kuala Lumpur that have things for you to do. The bird park, they can find out, let's go, if they're interested in birds, right, let's go and find out about the birds. Okay, if they love to cook, find some recipes that they want to do. Or this is one I know that a lot of you sometimes have trouble with. If your child doesn't like reading, well, through Accelerated Reader, we're able to see what it is about reading they don't like. Is it the fact that they're being made to do questions? And if so, then talk to your class teacher. Accelerated Reader might not be right for them. Is it the fact that they don't like reading because they've been given a book level that was wrong for them, that it was too challenging? Actually, they were struggling to decode every word, so they weren't getting any enjoyment out of it. There are lots of reasons why. Success on the quiz will encourage your child to read more. We have found that with the majority of our children. If children are able to complete the quiz and understand the book, they want to do another one. They feel proud of themselves, that sense of achievement. So will my child have to read a book I don't want him or her to read? No. We have got a huge library collection. There are lots of choices of books. Your child will never be forced to read a book if you find it questionable. If the content is something that you as a family don't want to access, then we can move that book away from your child and signpost them to different ones. If your child is worried that they're going to be compared to others, that's why teachers really like using Accelerated Reader, because it helps us with your child as an individual. We don't say all children are going to read at this level, off you go, then you're all taking the quiz. Children are reading books that are right for them. They are completed quizzes. There's no reason why every child who is doing this cannot be successful. If they're not being successful, as a teacher, we then investigate to find out why. So how many quizzes are there? Well, Accelerated Reader has been going for a number of years now. There are over 160,000 quizzes available at the moment, and that is increasing every day. So every day they are trying to put new books on the system. So we will have access to all of the UK quizzes, all of the Australian quizzes, and we are working on our USA collection at the moment. So you'll know if the book has a quiz, because in the Alice Smith Library we barcode them and you'll see the point level. If somebody at home brings a book as a gift or a present, you're welcome to Google the author or the title. It might have a quiz with it as well, and the child can check regularly online. Some of your children are already very strong, accomplished readers. So why do they need Accelerated Reader? Well, it's something we choose to purchase to give children an additional opportunity to read. If your child is already a motivated reader and they don't want to do the quiz, that's absolutely fine. That's something you and the class teacher can discuss. They will know that they are reading, but actually they're at a stage where they don't need to be motivated by quizzes. They often like to read. And that's something that you as a parent might want to talk to the class teacher about. So you can say, I know they read at home, they sit in the car every morning reading, they just don't like the computer and doing the quizzes. That's fine, just let the class teacher know. If your child's not a strong reader, can they use Accelerated Reader? Yes, they can. Because actually, as we showed you earlier, some of the books can be shared. You can read the book to them, or you could read the book with them. That's absolutely fine for the children to access a book in that way. They're still being exposed to a rich vocabulary, different sentence patterns, and a wealth of content. So we hope that we've touched on most of your questions. The only other one that has been brought to our attention is that as for those of you who are parents of children in Year 5, or those in Year 6, they no longer have the school physical diary. What they have is Google Classroom. So children in Year 5 and 6 are often talking to their teachers about their reading through reading journals, through sending an email, creating a pic collage about the book. There are lots of different ways that Year 5 and 6 teachers are asking children to share their reading. So don't be afraid about them writing the Just Right Reader comments in that one. Okay. So there's been a lot of information there for you, and we are putting it on the system. All the teachers in Year 3, 4 and 5 have been trained on Accelerated Reader. Mrs. McWilliam and I have got our cards to give out, so if there is an Accelerated Reader problem that you are having, you can email us straight away and we can get back to you as soon as possible with how to resolve that problem. Has anybody got any general questions that you think other parents might benefit from? Okay.
My son's reading a series of books, and it's difficult to get him to read it at his Accelerated Reader level, and I presume that's okay, right?
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, well, what you don't want to discourage the children from reading. We only ask that they take one book from the library, minimum, at their Just Right Reader level. They are welcome to take 5 other books. They can take 6 out a week to read anything they want. So for example, your son, he's passionate about that series. That's the book that he would read most nights. So his class teacher is trying to direct him towards the other books to just try and show the quiz. But because he's motivated by reading, it's not as much as a problem because we know he is reading at home.
And what about like some books that are not born from the library? she has read is not a just right reader, and she didn't have, there's no quiz available online for that book. It's happened a few times. Maybe it's the US book.
It might be the USA book. That is something we're trying to get the children in the habit of using the Surface Pros. They're the computers in the library. So we're hoping children can check whether, if they're motivated by the quizzes, so that when they go into the computer room, they can see if the book's got a quiz. If it has, then they might take that home. So that's something that teachers are trying to get the children in routine with. Over at the back?
Yes, what will the year 3 students be assessed and accelerated reader?
Okay, so the Year 3s are going to be doing their Star Reader assessment after this workshop. So I asked them to hold fire until, to use the levels that they thought were relevant. So starting from this week and next week, children in Year 3 will now be sitting their Star Reader assessment, which will generate their book levels for them. And they'll start coming home to you, so you can help guide your children's library choices.
Just to add to that, Lauren, I think most of the classes in Year 3 have now done that initial assessment. So we're just looking at the data and we're setting the levels. So when the home link letters go out to parents, that's when the children will be given their bookmarks and their start.
Hi.
Just asking about, my son's reading like multiple books at the same time, because there are some books that are larger and it takes a longer while to finish. But then if you do the quiz on the bigger books later on, there are some things that you forget, details on the quiz which are finer points that you might have missed or forgotten. And he's doing smaller books at the same time, which he can answer immediately. He started, so what my question is, can they open multiple quizzes at the same time, which they can't, and is it possible to do so? Because say there are books with like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson or something bigger, that takes a longer time to read and finish. But if you answer the quiz, say after 15 days or 20 days, or things you might have forgotten and therefore not do so well, even though you might have understood it fully well, and that's what's important, comprehension. So is there a chance to do 2 quizzes at the same time? Is it possible? Just to keep it ongoing, so to keep the larger book ongoing and the smaller quizzes, and smaller books probably at his level, or there are smaller books.
Yeah, and it's a great question.
So
it's something that actually we've already contacted Accelerated Reader about, getting feedback from the Year 5 and Year 6 children. How being able to access 2 quizzes would work for a lot of our children. At the moment it is not possible due to the nature of the programming that they can't access 2 books at the same time. What we would encourage for those children reading the longer books is when they do come to that quiz time, to set themselves time with the book where they can flick back, where they can revisit the information, so that then they can use the text to support their answer. But unfortunately that option is not available at the moment, but it is something that Accelerated Reader are trying to consider. So sorry about that.
Yeah, and I would also add to that when the children do the quizzes, it's not really meant to be a memory test, it's an understanding test. So,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Comprehension is fine at the time of reading, but there are so many finer points.
Yeah, but if the child has the book with them while they're doing the quiz, then they can be encouraged to look back through and just remind themselves of that understanding. Yeah.
Lower years and middle years. Lower years being more Year 2, Year 3, some of Year 4, middle years looking really at Year 4, Year 5, and then upper years from Year 6 up to EP. Accelerated Reader is used in the UK for a lot of secondary schools as well, hence why we showed you the Ernest Hemingway book. It's a program that a lot of schools use even with children who are 14, 15 years old. We try to use it with our lower age readers.
Yeah, absolutely, if they want to, absolutely.
Okay, and at the back?
It's not these 6.
Some children in year 6 are invited to use the accelerated reader. So some children maybe who still need a little bit of motivation towards reading or need that extra comprehension practice will be invited to use it. But we generally only have year 3, year 4 and year 5 as complete year groups using the system.
So you can't, you already have chosen the book.
So it's useful for the children to have the book that they want to do the quiz on, and then they can go home or they can in school access the computer to see if there is a quiz available for that book. If you've got books at home, I know a lot of you have wonderful home libraries already, you're welcome to access the computer to see if any of your home books are on the system, and some of them will be, and children can read those books as well.
Would the younger siblings, say younger than year 3, allow to use their older siblings' account?
I know that it has happened in the past. If you have a child who is in year 1 or year 2 who is really motivated by reading, that's something that you could talk to the class teacher or you can email me about as head of English, and sometimes we do have spare subscriptions. We're quite tight. I think we've only got about 2 spare at the moment, so we're waiting for the new children who are starting in January. But if we have the spare subscriptions and your child is motivated to read and they're desperate to do the quizzes and they're trying to use their siblings, if you contact me, if we've got any spare, then we can try and get them set up on there. Okay, thank you very much for your attendance today. Miss McWilliam and I are going to stay around for a little while longer in case you want to come and talk to us about your child personally. Thank you.